Well, welcome to episode number 88, according to Flint, the podcast. And joining me this week, little overview update looking forward. And, I started looking at what's going on in the Western world with the American just ending, Kid Rock's Rockin' Rodeo being revealed, the teams this week. And I thought, who is somebody I could bring on that was a part of both of all of this? And sure enough, the a music director for PBR and Pro Rodeo. What were you, the assistant music director at the NFR? Is
Yeah,
that,
that's what they called it. I basically got coffee for everybody up on the
yeah,
announcers.
well, good job.
Yeah, I did
And
a good job.
stadium host at some of the PBR Unleash the Beast events and co-host of the ever so popular podcast Cowboy Mafia, along
That's right.
with Anthony Lucia. Brad, the one and only Brad Narducci. We kind of hijack each other's podcasts, don't we? In the Western world, there's so many podcasts. We really just rotate guests and each other, right?
Yeah,
It's
like
okay.
we've all heard everyone's story at least 3 times now since
Yeah.
since everyone is just cycling the podcast guests. So now we're starting to be on each other's podcasts.
Yeah. But you were a part of this show and all of my shows long before you had a podcast.
Yeah, long before, long before.
Does Anthony Lucia ever want to bring a monkey to the show, or are his monkey days over?
I he still talks about him, but I think he has tried to put the monkey days behind him.
Man,
Uh,
I'll tell you, Whiplash the Cowboy Monkey. Anthony was great. I've known him for forever, and good kid. Good kid, that Anthony. So it's good
just
to
a
see.
good,
Yeah,
just a good kid. You know that.
good kid. You know that. Also, music director just coming off a big few weeks down at the San Antonio stock show and rodeo. Great rodeo down that San Antonio. There's a reason it's won a lot of awards. It's a beautiful arena. They run that rodeo fast and good. You do well there. And I listen in when I get a chance to watch Cowboy Channel, and you guys, along with Wayne Brooks, Randy Corley, Justin Rumford in the arena. Good times down there. That's a great rodeo.
Yeah, it is. It's a 14-time large indoor rodeo of the year. And I think the biggest reason that it's won that many awards is because San Antonio takes care of you so well. The committee, they have 38 different committees and 6,000 volunteers. So when you show up and you park your fifth wheel there, shoot, honey, I was going to cook breakfast, but we're out of propane. You make one phone call and there's two guys there hijacking your propane tanks, and they come back. I'm pretty sure they fill them more illegally because they're so full that they're so heavy that you can cook on them for the entire time you're down there. They just take care of you. They're good.
Illegal propane. Hey, but that goes, and then we'll get started on some things, but that goes to what I've always said, kind of the difference in, I had a career in rodeo, and you're having a career in rodeo as well as PBR. And I don't know that everybody understands the difference. The Velocity Tour and the UTB Tour PBR is produced by the PBR. I've always said what makes rodeo happen. Those rodeos are all run by local committees, and I don't know that people understand those even small rodeos, but
Right.
especially big rodeos. The volume of people that for the most part, volunteer their time to make those rodeos great.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, to think about 6,000 volunteers at a rodeo that runs 22 days in February is insane. There's a committee for the mutton busting, which is my favorite event to watch, right? So 10 sheep riders a night in San Antonio. We counted one night, they had 38 people in the arena just from the volunteer committee to make the mutton busting run smoothly. It's crazy. There's guys just standing around there like this.
And you and I know about when it comes to sheep, 2 dogs could have done the whole thing.
Oh, 2 good border collies could have got her done easy, bud.
Hey, bub.
Hey, bub.
Speaking of great rodeos, Bradley, of course, coming out being the music director at the American Rodeo at Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. I attended for the first time since I worked the American in AT&T Stadium, now in Globe Life. Globe Life is a cool setup, spectacular arena for it. The quality of competition at the American Rodeo is fab. I thought what stood out to me was the bareback riding and saddle bronc riding. Timed event people are going to always do their thing when you have the greatest ones in the world there. The stock selection of the stock, man, it was so good. So good.
Yeah, they're at the American. It's not a drawing contest. It's just basically these horses are going to buck, these guys are going to ride, and whoever's the most points. I mean, it's literally, and I try and tell people this. You can't pick a favorite in the bareback or the bronc riding because you look at the list, and when you have Tokyo Bubbles, Explosive Skies, Frontiers, Gunfire, when you have horses of that caliber, any one of those guys can win,
Uh,
and it's just who shows up, and
yeah.
the American for me has always carried a certain value and a certain presence that when you walk in the building and it's Saturday or used to be Sunday, there was just something in the air that made you feel like we're going to see something big today. And I guess that's what's exciting about it for me still.
Always. There's always something happens that you can't predict at all.
Right.
Um,
Right.
the rough stock, though, you say you can't pick favorites. I gotta say, and this is no slight to everybody involved, all those guys are fabulous. But if I kind of had to pick a person in each of those events that I wanted to win, they won. I
Oh,
thought
they did.
I thought Cade Saunier in the bareback riding, I thought he had a better NFR than maybe he was awarded. And I'm not a get after the judges guy. I just thought he brought an element of flair to the NFR that he didn't necessarily get rewarded for. And of course, Sage Newman from not very far from here, known his family forever. Cade and Sage, bareback riding, bronc riding, those were the guys I really was secretly rooting for. They looked
Yeah.
fabulous.
I thought Cade or Keenan Hayes was going to win the bareback riding, so I guess you could say I was half right. And then I did pick Sage or Zeke Thurston to win
Yeah.
the bronc riding because both of those guys, all four of those guys, they ride big, they ride good at like big places. And I don't even know if that has anything to do with it. It probably doesn't. Still get a guy getting on a horse, but it just seems like Sage since 2000. Oh, what was the year that he lost? And I thought
Two
he won
year,
2 years
two
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
Ever since that
Yeah.
that day, I went, man, Sage does different in these big buildings, and yeah,
Yeah, but you're right. There is a difference that, um, you need a flair that stands out. And I've said that, Thomas and Mack in Vegas, it's opposite. It's a tiny arena,
right,
but I think when you go all winter and summer at certain rodeos, you're at Reno, you're at Ellensburg, you get wins and places maybe with a little different style, but when you get to the places like the NFR and now what you're maybe talking about, Globe Life, which is big,
huge,
literally big,
yeah,
there's gotta be a flair and a bigness to the way you ride, if that makes sense. And both of those
exactly.
guys, Sage Newman has that throw it at him kind of flair to it. Yeah, look at us.
Yeah, yeah, like we're big
Lifted him
bronc
up.
riders. Man,
I
he really
lifted him right there.
his feet are like
Yeah.
that.
But you gotta be noticeable, especially at something like this. When you look at, I'll use two comparables, the Calgary Stampede and the American. It comes down to a top 4 round. So you got to stand out. It's a
Right,
shootout. It's not a chip away. It's a shootout. You got to have
right. Yeah,
it. So,
you're exactly right. I mean,
um,
irregardless of what you say, you're
you
totally
gotta,
right.
you gotta depreciate my transparency here. You gotta
Oh,
depreciate it. And
yeah. You're
yeah,
being so agnostic this morning.
we could, oh gosh, here we go.
Let's not do
Uh,
inside baseball. I don't like inside baseball.
no inside baseball, even though you're wearing a San Diego Padres hat.
All
Um,
right.
But and then when you get down, you can go through the timed events. I can't say timed events are timed events, but in a sense, you don't have to have a flash. You just have to get it done in that moment.
You
It's
just have,
it's
yeah,
right now.
it's right now. In steer wrestling, I was really happy to see JD Struxness win the
Old,
$100,000.
old biggin, old biggin
Old
got it.
biggin,
Old
old
biggin.
biggin.
He used
Did
to
you
have
know?
a. Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, sorry. No, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, you're the guest. You can interrupt. He used to have a shirt because he always said, "Get let your feet hit the ground and then just see what happens. Something like that. I'm
Let
paraphrasing, but
feet hit the ground and see what happens.
see what happens.
I like that. Breakaway roping. Sarah Angeloni wins 100,000 at the
Yeah.
American. No surprise there.
No.
The only thing, and I'm going to go off a little bit here. I'm using my hands now. The only thing I wish we could have saw at the American, and she didn't go through the qualifier, didn't qualify, was my girl, man. You know me, Danielle Lohman, man.
Danielle Lohman's your girl. So I saw her there. I saw her. I talked to her.
What did she say?
Did she not go through the or not make it through the qualifiers?
That's what I was wondering, because I didn't go. There's my dog right there. He's making sure that nobody sneaks up on us and attacks. He keeps an eye out for Indians. I'm just kidding. I'm Native American. I can say that.
What's your dog's name? What's your dog's name?
That's Mac. That's actually Jake's dog. We're dog watching him because Jake's in Arizona. Mac. He listens really good. Yeah. Sit. Good boy.
Good boy. So yeah, Danielle Lohman. I don't know if she didn't go through it, but she's a roping fool, old Danielle. Mm.
1, 2.5 hitch. Tie down roping. Shad Mayfield. Is that guy on a terror, or what is going on with that fella?
Because well, listen,
everything.
And I don't know if you missed it the first 2 or 3 times, but he's got torn labrums in his hips. That's what Garrett Yerrigan told me a lot. But he doesn't limp. Torn labrums in your hips must not be that bad if you're 6 point whatever.
Yeah, and then he runs down the entire length of the field, which we're on a baseball field at the American, so it equates him from running from home plate to center field for the victory lap, and he does it in like 6.1 seconds. Like he didn't.
We need a fact check on Garrett Yerrigan.
And I'd heard Garrett say that 16 or 17 times throughout the American, but it sure didn't look like the injury affects Shad Mayfield at all.
No, and of course I was pulling. I like Shad. I think he's a good champ. Shad. Of course, being a Miles City, Montana guy, I had to pull for Haven Medjed a little bit, but still, he had a great day.
I got a bone to pick with Haven.
Okay.
From Miles City, but now he goes by Stevensville, Texas.
It's Stephenville with a PA. Stephen.
I don't care what it is. It's in Texas, Flint.
Yeah, I know.
How do you train in Montana, man?
Well, here's the deal. I think when your address changes with the PRCA where they send everything, that instantly it's automated where it becomes your hometown, I think. Because Haven Medjed is from Miles City, Montana, but there goes Mac. Yeah, everything's safe. But so he bought a place in Texas so he can rope all year. He and his lovely wife Shelby. So, but he's still here's going to be the big test. At the National Finals Rodeo, when they bring all the state flags in, if he rides behind the Texas flag, we're breaking up. We're done.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
If you don't want to be in Montana like all the other Californians do, Haven, we can't help you, and we will not root for you.
That's right.
So you better carry the Montana flag.
Yeah, that's right.
Rant over. I'm done. Over.
No, I'm with you. It's a legitimate rant with Brad Narducci. That's right. Legitimate rant. And we don't need to talk all of Creek Young wins the bull riding. Okay.
But there was almost a very, very cool situation happen there. Almost a awesome situation. So 2 contenders are tied at the top, right? It was Cody Teal and Jeff Askey, I believe.
Yes.
So, quote me on this.
It was.
But they were tied, and Creek was the last to go. If Creek isn't 88 3/4, it forces those 2 guys to have a ride-off in the ground rules that they have. Both contenders, they would have had to ride off, and one of them potentially could have won $500,000.
Yeah, right? For part of that $1 million payout. Yeah.
And then Creek decides to be Creek, and he decides to ride one so good, and he's 89 points and spoils all of the fun.
Well, yeah, a write-off would have been cool because it hadn't gone quite long enough.
Yeah, and at that point, I think we were only 6 hours into the rodeo.
Yeah.
And you know what it would have done is it would have had Matt Merritt fill another commercial break, which would have been his 15th commercial break of the night.
Yeah. I have not talked to Matt yet as of the recording of this show. No
Yeah.
presentations. What? Anyway, I won't get into that. What wasn't live TV, so I didn't understand why the breaks had to be 4 or 5 minutes. Sorry. I understand TV. I've been
Yeah,
a part of it. But
I
when
know.
you're not live, you just got to roll out, reset, roll back in. I didn't understand. Anyway,
I can't tell you. I'm just the one guy with two
I
hands.
know you're
You know,
one guy with two hands and a laptop.
that's it. Clicking
That's
buttons.
right. Okay. I don't
So
want to get too into this. I'll probably do a rant or will have done a rant on my live broadcast that I do on Tuesday nights, according to Flint. Brandon Collins wins barrel racing. There's some shade thrown his way, social media. Of course, who would think rodeo fans, being the most polite fans in the world, would ever throw shade like
yeah,
that?
who would think a bunch of cowboys would throw shade at another cowboy?
Yeah. Um, Brandon Collins is a cowboy. And let me tell you something. I was in on a lot of the initial meetings of the American with Randy Bernard. And I went in and did shows for RFD TV, hosting the Road to the American shows. That was the point. That was the barrel racing was discussed a lot. And it wasn't a huge discussion. It was in accordance with the organization called the Better Barrel Racers. That was the sanctioning body that oversaw the barrel racing. Guess what, everybody? Barrel racing is not necessarily a women's event. It is because it's part of the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. We were making a list of NFR cowgirls that barrel race that guys trained or helped train their horses. Overwhelming, a bunch.
Oh wow.
Brandon Collins, this is not, I believe, not his first qualification into the American.
No, and correct me if I'm wrong. I remember watching the first American on TV, and there was a Clint something barrel racer, male barrel racer at the very first one.
Yeah. It's he wins. There's no listen, don't try to make the comparison of some of the issues going on in the world right now. This is a guy that a great trainer with great horses, and he won. And that was the point. That was the point of the American in the first. What would have happened if the young girl? What would have happened if a 15-year-old that she's not allowed in the WPRA either?
Yeah, yeah.
So
exactly.
Hey,
and,
what?
And
go
it's
ahead.
not like a situation where Brandon is competing against girls and they're doing something by brute strength. You know,
swimming.
Yeah, wrestling matches. They're not having wrestling matches where he's tossing them out of the ring. They're still having a race, and it's still whoever the best jockey and the fastest horses can get around those barrels is going to win. And he just won. Like he just won. He flat out beat all of them. He won. So
I don't know Brandon. I don't think I know him, but I know he's a great trainer, a great cowboy, a rancher with a family. I mean, he's everything we want, honestly, in a cowboy. We just pigeonhole people and events. And hey, tell me this, what would happen if a lady won the team roping?
Ooh.
Could happen.
Yeah.
My daughter Shelby's a great header. I mean, she's not those guys, but there are lady team ropers out there that can flat rope.
Yeah.
But what happens if one of them, do we have the same? No, everybody would celebrate that.
Yeah. Exactly.
But team roping is not a man's event. It's not a man only event. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but similar, I guess.
Well, and when you talk to, and I've talked to several other barrel racers, they've all said exactly what you said. He's a great trainer. He's a great husband. He's got a family, great rancher, and just a great cowboy. And I think I watched a clip on another podcast where they were talking to Brandon about this same subject, and he hadn't won the million yet. He said, if you win $1 million, you're going to take some scrutiny. He said, that's okay. That's $1 million.
Yeah. I'll take a little heat on stupid social media for $1 million. Tell you that.
I would too.
Good for him. Anyway, good job though. You were great as always. I don't know that people understand the obstacles and the grind and the work put in by announcers, music guys, everybody in the production when a rodeo is formatted with a concert in the middle, a concert at the end, it's a long day. And you guys kept it rolling. And good job on your
Thank you.
you played one song and G, he was sitting with me. He goes, "Hey, the big guy's pulling them out right now. It's good." So we were talking about you, and you looked great in your sunglasses on the big screen. Nice
I
work.
look
I took
like
a picture.
I got like 4 texts from, and of course they were all from family. My aunt said that she was there. She said I look like a tribal cop, like I work for the tribal police.
Yeah, I could see that. And walking up, making sure everybody's okay at Ix Bar.
Oh,
Yeah.
buddy. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Now, this I kind of we all the American has happened, but something that hasn't happened. But just this week, the teams were revealed for the Kid Rock Rock and Rodeo. I think maybe people need a little background on really what we're looking at happening at AT&T Stadium on May 17th on a Friday night with Kid Rock's Rock and Rodeo. I think you and I need to
Yes.
throw a little out there. First of all, we have known the teams for a couple weeks. You and I,
We have.
for the most part. There's been some substitutions. There's been some people, that couldn't make it, turn down the invitation or the draft. But first of all, our role at the draft, I got to say, we worked for about 5, on the air kind of for 4 or 5 hours. And it was as fun a little broadcasting project as maybe I've ever had.
Yeah, I don't really know what our job was other than to talk and have fun. And it was super fun. We were up in a broadcast booth. We had a little mixer that allowed us to turn up the microphones in our ears of the not judges, of the other coaches. So we got to sit there as they picked people. Ooh, great pick, bad pick, whatever. Give our thoughts like we know anything about rodeo. And then we got to the fun part was listening to the judges talk smack to each other.
The coaches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the coaches. Yeah, I said judges again, and talk about their game plan. Like it was so much fun, and it
Yeah.
was 5 hours, but it felt like it flew by. It was so
So
much
good.
fun.
And I will say, and this, that in PBR fashion, set up with the color, the team names and tables with the podium. It was real draft, but it wasn't live. It was kind of a secret. They kept the teams under wraps.
Yeah.
Wasn't live TV, so we could just talk. We didn't have marks to hit, and they recorded that onto a track. And now I've seen some of the video clips they're going to show, and some of our commentary is on those clips. They used a lot of what we said. So it was valuable. So went around, there was people could trade. Misty Mountain Hop, which is Charmaine James is the coach and the assistant is Justin McKee. They were rolling when they got into the building that morning trading because they had the number 1 pick.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew Sid Steiner
Wanted
what's their team? Are they the Jokers? They're the Jokers.
Yep.
They knew Sid Steiner wanted the number 1 pick for Rocker Steiner. So they were finagling trades from minute 1.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy. I think they had what was the number that by the time the trade was done, they had 8 out of like the 21st picks, wasn't it?
Yeah, 8 of they finagled trades with everybody and had 8 of the first 21 picks. They didn't pick until number 8, but their roster 50 complete. Their roster was half complete by pick number 22. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, and Justin McKee is like laughing like he's some mad scientist that figured out a cure all. And he was sitting there. Remember what he said when he was drinking the water after they had picked and he was half full? He said, "When does this water turn to whiskey? Because we're almost done."
That made one of the videos when he's into the camera. But so here's what I found interesting with the depth. Okay. So people know that Cowboys and Cowgirls had to declare for the draft. There was a deadline. You just weren't, they couldn't pick any Cowboys and Cowgirls out there. They had to declare, fill out a form, however it was, do it online. So there was a list of Cowboys, over 1,100 Cowboys and Cowgirls declared for the Kid Rock and Rodeo draft. So they were there. on a list, but with the depth of it, when it was all said and done, they had 8 of the first 21 picks. They were half done by pick number 22. Could you, if you just looked at lists the teams had, could you pick out who came out ahead in all those trades? Or is the depth so much that everybody, it's, who knows?
I think it's so deep that you can't. There's not. I don't look at that list of the list, and we'll go over those. But I don't look at them and go, "Oh, they're a clear favorite because they have
Right.
this or this." I can't do that. I mean, it's stacked all the way around. All the teams combined, 54 World Championship buckles. All the teams combined.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you?
Yeah, it's crazy. 54 of them. The one I liked, the stat I liked, the 405 NFR qualifications across down the board. And this one I really liked. Career earnings of everybody in the Kid Rock and Rodeo, almost $90 million. I mean, that's all. Yeah.
And that doesn't include the coaches. I think at one point you and I during the broadcast counted how many gold buckles were on the floor with the coaches.
Yeah. 69 was it? Yeah, 69.
Are you just making that number up because that's your favorite number?
No, 76 with mine. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
The amount of gold in there was insane.
90 million in career earnings. That's almost as much as Russell Wilson makes in a year.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to more details of why they pick certain people, but we're going to start with Misty. Now Logan wants to know how they drafted.
By event, or could
you could pick anybody you want. Brad and I, we should say that we had a piece of paper they gave us, and it had the teams straight across, and each column was an event. So the first pick was, because they traded up for it.
Yep.
The Jokers with the number 1 pick select Rocker Steiner, bareback rider, university, whatever. So we go up Rocker Steiner. The next pick might have been a Bulldogger. So it was like filling in. I have mine. I still got mine. And it's a mess. But yeah, so it filled in as we went. Before we say the teams, Brad?
Yes.
I don't know if it was surprising or not. The last event to fill up across the board was what?
Breakaway roping.
Huge. Why do you think that was?
I got to thinking about that, and the only thing that I can come up with that seems even a touch reasonable is this. The talent pool of the breakaway roping was so deep that they had figured no matter if we get the last 2 picks and all the good ones are already taken, there's still 2 really great girls that we could pick. I think the talent pool was so deep that they just decided,
I did too.
Let's do that last. I mean, that's all I can think of, really.
Yeah, it is. And breakaway roping is an event that there's in the process of a breakaway roping run. Now, breakaway ropers don't argue with me because I understand. Listen, I have breakaway ropers in my family. My girls worked their way through college being breakaway ropers. But the elements of a breakaway roping run are quicker and not maybe as many elements as a half roping run, a team roping run, a steer wrestling. And there are a lot of girls that can be 2.2 or 1.9 in the breakaway roping. Saying the talent pool of breakaway roping is deep.
Very deep.
And I think they waited till the end. As long as everybody waited till the end, it was still the same battle for breakaway ropers.
Yeah, it was the same. In your opinion, and you've followed rodeo way longer than I have because you're much older than I am. Yeah. In your opinion, do you think the breakaway roping right now is as good as it's ever been? Is this the best group of girls that we've ever seen?
Yeah, well, I just think the numbers are way up, but I think those great breakaway ropers have been there for a very long time. I mean, the NRA in Montana and college rodeo, high school rodeo, junior, they've been breakaway roping everywhere except pro rodeos.
Right.
However, what I would like to see in breakaway roping at a place like the American with a long arena, I'd like the score to be out there more because I think this comes even from my girls that as far as horsemanship and different things, I'd like to see them like at Cheyenne when they got to track a calf and get out there. Yeah. I know what they're going for is the flashy, fast runs. I'm with you. But 2 swings and throw it. It's a calf. Get the right calf. horsepower. The one thing that has improved in breakaway roping out of this world, horsepower.
Horsepower.
Those girls' horses are amazing. So
Good.
Yeah,
so good.
Okay, so let's do this. First team up, Misty Mountain Hop, each team named after a song in history somewhere. Misty Mountain Hop, coached by Charmaine James. Logan's going to flash the graphic up there. We won't go. Wenda Johnson and Latricia Duke. Wenda, we've seen her at the NFR 4 times. Latricia Duke, she's a famous barrel racing trainer.
Yeah.
So we'll go real quick and double back. Cole Reiner and Mason Clements in the bareback riding. Rough stock. The rough stock events are the ones that are the most normal in this.
Of course.
So we'll go through the people on this one team and we'll come back to that. Okay.
Yep.
Statler Wright was the first saddle bronc rider taken by Charmaine, and it was their first rough stock rider taken. He's number 1 in the world right now. And Lefty Holman, talk about guys that can ride in big places and flashy, right?
Yep.
Caleb Smith, Hall of Famer, and Weston Hughes, a young gun that's really fast. And Caleb Driggers and Junior Nogueira. Who are those guys, right?
Never heard of them.
Never heard of her. Tyler Wade and Wesley Thorpe. Tyler Wagisback. Okay, I will say they had a lot of picks early. I will say they got some really good picks.
Oh man, they got, if you look at that total team earnings, so you talked about 90 million overall. This team alone has 21 million in career earnings.
Yeah. So they did come out. Breakaway ropers, your girl Danielle Lohman and Jordan Joe Hollowell. Okay.
At least on paper they came out.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back a little now. I said the rough stock is the most normal feeling of all the events because they buck one rough stock at a time, head to head against another team, but not at the same time. And they're judged. The winner moves on.
Right.
The timed events, unlike any rodeo you've seen before, except maybe way back in the day, just so everyone knows, it is a true team competition. There are 2 timed event boxes. There's a stage in the middle. They are running at the same time with a Christmas tree start. Red, yellow for 3 seconds, bam, green. If your horse dicks around in the box when it turns green, once you ride in, there's a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
Then yellow, 3 seconds. If your horse spins around, it turns green, time starts. Head to head. Talk to me, Brad.
I think that's going to be very, very fun to watch. Just a new aspect. And we heard some coaches like Joe Beaver talk about how when he was training kids for tie down roping, he would use the red, yellow, and green light system at his house for training.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and they'd go head to head, side by side.
Here's what I think it does. One, I think you got to get set as a competitor as quick as you can, obviously. We know in timed events, pusher trying to make sure the animal's looking straight. There's other factors other than just the contestant. So I think it levels the playing field a lot. And it's like, you go in there, you got to think like Ricky Bobby, like right away. Like, I don't care what's going to happen here. I need to get settled as fast as I can, and I need to be ready. And I think the anticipation from a watching it in the crowd as a rodeo fan that's used to watching them nod and used to watching it, is there still a barrier? There's got to be a barrier, right?
Yeah, there is. There's an electric eye in the box. So you can't just ease up to the barrier line as it turns green. You got to be in the back of the box when it turns green or you'll break it. Yes. Yeah.
So suddenly the anticipation of one, a head-to-head competition at the same time, and 2, you're able to go green, go. Like it's I think it's going to be so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
The anticipation for me is going to be awesome.
Yeah. That's the roping events and the steer wrestling. We'll go through one more team. Then we'll talk about the real big obstacle event, the barrel racing. All right. Team Low Riders. The team coached by the unbelievable Trevor Brazil, and the guy who thinks he's unbelievable, Dale Brisby.
Yeah,
He
the
was
greatest
great.
bull rider. He was
He
fun.
was great. 19 world championships on this team. There you go. Barrel racing. And she's excited because I talked to her at the American. Sherry Servey.
Sherry Servey.
Great horsewoman. Amanda Welsh, the Wyoming cowgirl. Her brother Bobby made it to the NFR in the bull riding. She's been to the NFR one time in 2021. They have some knowledge on horses. That's what I was thinking. Those coaches had some horse knowledge, and we'll explain why, right? After we go through this. Bareback riding, of course, Leighton Berry. You like Jacob Lees.
I really like Jacob Lees. I was telling you, I've seen Jacob Lees at the NFR, and he never. And I hate to say this because this is going to sound weird. I never really was impressed by, like, he never did anything to give me, oh wow, that guy is great. He just rode good. And then this year at San Diego, at the San Diego Rodeo, he comes back into the short round, has Virgil. And anytime a guy's got Virgil, you kind of perk up and you're going to watch. Virgil had one of the best outs I've ever seen Virgil have. And Jacob Lees made one of the greatest, most controlling rides on that horse that I've ever watched. And he was 93 and 3/4 points. But at that moment, it made me go, all right, this dude's for real. Good. I started really kind of paying attention to him, started following him a little more on social media and where he was at in rodeos. Yeah, the kid from Idaho, he can ride.
I love their bronc riders, Sage Newman, Kate Bruno. Look at the tie-down ropers. You think they're fast? Ooh. Tough Cooper and Corey Solomon.
My goodness.
Clint Summers and Jake Long and Cody Snow and Hunter Cook. That's their team ropers. I mean,
incredible.
Crazy.
Like, as good as the last team was on paper, you look at this team and you go, well, maybe this team's better.
Yeah. You know? Tyler Pearson and Kyle Irwin are their steer wrestlers. Martha Angeloni and Kelsey Domer are their breakaway ropers. There you go. Crazy. Okay. Barrel racing. Let's talk about this and then we'll swing through the remaining teams. The barrel racing is 2 patterns set up. They come out of the corners and barrel race at the same time. The third barrels are about 80 feet apart, so not any real interference. However, horses are here. Here's what I think in general, talking with my hands. People are going to get, I call it the rodeo headspace. We see it in committees. We see it in everything we do. This is the way we've always done it, right? That's the rodeo headspace. You can't do that because, but if you got a horse coming into that third barrel, those horses, that's why there's some barrel racers taken that maybe you didn't expect. Here's the other. What's the biggest thing in the barrel racing, Brad? What do you think that might be different for fans to see that they're going to go, oh, that's not fair? What do you think? You know where I'm going or no?
I'll be honest with you. You have me lost like a ball in high weeds. I don't know.
Shut up. The start.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the start's going to be different. And I think as much as horses seeing other horses in their peripheral vision, what if you're a competitor, you and I are going head to head, and we're approaching that third barrel, and I look over just for a split second to see that you're already making the turn, and I'm just coming to the barrel. Suddenly, I lose a little bit of focus, and the chance I have, I lose because I hit the barrel because I'm not paying attention to what I'm supposed to be doing.
What if you round the second, glance over, and you can see that your competitor has tipped over a barrel? Then you'd be safe and just lope it home, and you get
Yes.
And the start, they're not coming up an alley.
Nope.
Horse trotting. They're in a box. That horse has got to back in.
Red light,
yellow light, green light. Time starts.
Yeah, that's going to be so much fun to watch. Just the new factors are going to be so much fun. And I can't wait for people to start saying, that ain't how it's supposed to be done.
Oh, can you believe that?
I can't believe they do that.
So Team Convoy, coached by Cody Ohl, Stevie Hillman, great horsewoman, 8-time NFR qualifier, Tessa Arnold. Tessa Arnold rides a clone of Latte, Mary Walker's Latte.
Oh, really?
And in talking about that horse, Didn't Cody Ole say they headed steers on that horse so he knows how to back in and stand in the box?
Yeah.
Stand in the
He
box.
stands like a rope horse. That's what he
Yeah.
said.
She set an arena record at Denver, I believe, on that clone. So he knows some things. Cade Saunier, there's your American winner. Tim O'Connell, the 3-time world champion. I know, just when you think one team has a better team, then you go through these.
Here's what I'll say about this team that just differs a little bit. The first two teams we talked about both had 20 plus million in career earnings. This team only has 13 million in career earnings. But could you tell that by looking at the list?
No. Well, you get to the Saddle Bronc rider. Remember, they picked Damian Brennan, the Australian Saddle Bronc rider, during the draft. Found out he can't attend. Gus Gaylord, Leighton Green, then tie down roping. Remember, we kept referencing that. Look at all the calf ropers. Riley Webb and Ty Harris. You got Riley Webb, the world champ. Ty Harris, who can be so fast in a moment, and that's what it's a shootout. Dustin Egaskiza and Levi Lord. Clay Smith and Colby Payne. Then their steer wrestlers, Jesse Brown and JD Struxness. Jesse Brown, of course, the former backup quarterback at Washington State. JD just won the American. Then Sarah Angeloni and Shelby Bosley Medjid.
Oh my gosh.
It's crazy. Yeah. So there you go. Let's kind of roll through what's remaining. Team Jokers. This is the team coached by Sid Steiner and Joe Beaver.
Yes.
Brittany, Posey, Tanazi, Spamazzi, Canozi. Great horse trainer. They know she's got a horse can stand in a box. It's about to start. And imagine that. Steely Steiner. They got a brother-sister duo.
It's a family affair. It's a family affair.
And then their bareback riders. Rocker Steiner and Jess Pope. Are you freaking kidding me?
No, that's insane. That's insane. You got to, and remember they were having a conversation talking, and I think it was Sid that said, "Let's take Jess because he's a veteran, and I think he'll work good with Rocker." So they knew some inside baseball.
And then you got Brody Kress and Wyatt Casper. There you go, tie down rope, and there's Haven Medjid and Shane Hanchey. Even looking back at these teams, I'm like, this is going to be the greatest gathering of tie down ropers ever. And then Derek Begay and Corey Petska are going to rope together, and Eric Rogers and Paul Eves. They went straight up just hijacking the Navajo Nation for the team roping, man.
They're smart, man. They're smart.
Yeah.
They know how to do it. They know how Begay's been roping. They know how Eric Rogers has been roping.
And it's a shootout. It's in the moment, pitching and ducking. So those guys are good at it.
I don't have to beat 15 other guys or 15 other teams. I just have to beat this one right over here.
That guy.
Right,
you got to beat them. Yeah. Then you got Dirk Tavener and Dakota Eldridge. Then the breakaway rope and Cheyenne McCartney and Jordy Edens. I mean, so good. All right. Sledgehammers, Fred Whitfield's team.
The Sledgehammers.
Sledgehammer. Peter Gabriel sang that song. We made Fred. You'll see there's a video and Fred's pushing the roof up. We made him do that. You and I remember.
Remember, and he looked at us like, dumbasses. Okay.
Yeah, dumbasses. Cassie Mowry was their first barrel racing selection, and she declined to compete. I think she saw the setup, and that was part of the deal. That was so. Stephanie Fryer, she has made the NFR in 08, and Ashley Castleberry, a couple barrel racers that a lot of people may not know right off the top of their heads. Still strong. Taylor Broussard and Tanner Oss in the bareback riding. I love. My favorite part of their team is the Saddle Bronc riders, Dawson Hay and Logan Hay, the brothers from Canada.
Yeah, that's such a good lineup. It's two guys that just know how to feed off each other like brothers.
They'll have a ball. John Douch and Shad Mayfield. There you go. They're the shootout style tie down ropers. And
shootout for sure.
Yeah.
Douch fast. How can you doubt Mayfield? Only one world champion on this whole team. That amazes me.
Yeah. Then you got Coleman Proctor and Logan Medlin in the team roping, along with Tanner Tomlinson and Patrick Smith. Steer wrestling, Dalton Mastey, Justin Schaefer, Maddie Dearman, and Taylor Munsell. One world champ, but strong. Now remember, there's a sixth team. I call them the bench warmers, but it's the it's Bobby Moten and Lindsey Sumter's team. They get the top 2 from the results at the WCRA finals in Corpus Christi like a week before this. So they're given their team. So it's like a wild card team. So they're involved in that too.
I'm going to do something really funny here. This is my impression. And of course, they were there. They were there representing at the draft. Didn't have to draft. Here's my impression of Bobby Moat on draft day. Poor guy. That's all they did. They just watched.
They just watched. Yeah.
So if you had to pick, and I'm going to nail you down here. And it's hard to, but pick your team. I want to know who Flint Rasmussen.
Which team I think will win?
Which team that you like the best? Not maybe necessarily win, but just what team do you like the best?
I'm gonna go. Let me think for a second. You know what? I like the I kind of like the lowriders. I like Trevor Brazil's team a little bit.
I do too. Okay.
Yeah.
I do too. I really do. I think the lowriders are my team. That's who I would pick. And I hate to agree with you because we get nothing out of it and we can't argue about it, but I like the mix up that they have. And I really like that Sage Newman's on their team.
I do too. Okay. Just to recap a little, to remind people, and this will be a great clip to advertise this. Let's review, Brad, that to get out of that rodeo headspace of how we've always done it. Again, a reminder to people, this is you. I think you made a great point. I don't have to beat 10 other guys. I got to beat, if I'm in the steer wrestling, I got to beat the guy across from me that's running at the same time, spread apart enough for safety. If we're team roping, we run at the same time. That creates a whole different factor in this whole, in the team setup of this, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I'm looking at it from a fan standpoint too. Any one of these team ropers that we have listed off in this can be 3-4 seconds, whatever. It causes you as a competitor, I think, to kind of look over and go, okay, we just have to beat those guys, right? Mm-hmm. So what is our approach? Are we slinging and gunning? Do we hear the announcer say, oh, and they missed, to where we just safety up? There are so many factors that is so exciting for, I'm a rodeo fan, you're a rodeo fan. I'm not sure that I've been more excited to watch a rodeo for timed events than I am to watch the Kid Rock Rockin' Rodeo.
And, we talked about barrel racers and their horse had to be a certain thing. Steer wrestlers, the same. Steer wrestling horses notorious for not standing in the box very well. Red, yellow, green, got to be ready.
Got to be ready. It's like you and I getting away from a bear together. I don't have to be faster than the bear. I just have to be faster than you.
That's why I take my dad fishing.
See, that was a metaphor. The field of competitors is the bear. You're the other team. You see, as a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. Oh, good stuff, Brad. This was, I'll reiterate, you and I at that draft when we could just commentate about what was going on in front of us. Matt West down on the arena floor interviewing the coaches were great, listening in on their conversations. As fun of a day in the Western sports industry as I've had, because it's so unique. And, the PBRs behind, we're going to produce the whole thing. Hey, watch for elements of entertainment that you might like, you might not. It's a little tip. This is not going to be, hey, we're going to have a rodeo, then we're going to have a concert. Not happening. It's going to be music to start. We're going to have some weird elements of entertainment in the middle. Hey, if Sean Gleason and PBR and Kid Rock are sitting down over beers, inventing what kind of entertainment's in this, get ready. It's going to be great rodeo action, but it's the most unique rodeo you'll ever go to. Guaranteed.
Yeah. I like I said, I'm more excited for this than I've been for a lot of different stuff. just because of the uniqueness. And I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm using it.
It is.
The uniqueness is going to be fun. Kid Rock, come on, man.
Bobby's coming through, and it's in AT&T Stadium. Can't beat
There it
it.
is.
Get your tickets now. Bradley, you're the best. I'm glad you put your own podcast to the side for just a little bit and help me out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on, Flint. As always, bow to the king. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Okay, so I'll see you soon, and we'll definitely see you at Kid Rock's Rockin' Rodeo. May
Sounds
17th.
good, Flint.
And
I'll
good
be
job.
there. See you, man.
See you, buddy.